All right, peace and blessings, and welcome to another episode of YB's Collaboration Corner in conjunction with Self-Publishing 30 Days. I'm your host, Rob YB Youngblood, President of Sales for Self-Publishing 30 Days, and your LinkedIn locksmith. I've added a new moniker. I'm now the HBCU Alumni Connector. So if there's any HBCU alums listening to the podcast, make sure you get at me. Would love to have you on the show so you could talk about how collaboration creates currency. But for today, I've got a gentleman that I've become close to over the last several years, and we're about to get even closer because he is now the president of our Alpha chapter, Zeta to Lambda, here in Henrico, Virginia. Ronald Dews Jr., how you doing, Ron?
Very well, very well. Peace and blessings to you as well.
Peace and blessings, man. Let me tell you a little bit about Ron. So Ron is originally from the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Area, but lived in New Orleans, and I'm sure he'll tell you a little bit about why he lived in New Orleans. He'll give you a little insight on that. It has something to do with HBCU. Then he moved to Rochester, and for many years prior to moving to Richmond, where he now calls home. He's married for over 20 years, has 3 teenage boys who keeps him very active. When I say very active, I mean very active. He served in the community health and wellness nonprofit since 2003. His wife, Tiffany, has had a passion to advocate, educate, and empower those living with sickle cell, and he's passionate about the cause as well. But she steers and paddles the boat. I love it. So we got a lot more we could talk about and unpack. But Ron, welcome to YB's Collaboration Corner. I've already said where you're from. I already given your background, but what didn't I share that the audience needs to know about you?
Well, I would say I'm a serial investor of people. One of my passions, one of the things that get me up is to put other people's visions into action. And so, you know, I have a 9 to 5, but also my 5 to 9 on the other side supports a lot of people in moving their visions and passions forward. So, you know, I'm a lifelong learner. I love to serve, and I love to instruct and educate. So those are the things I'm passionate about.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about what industry or industries are you in, and how did you get started?
So I currently am a global business and technology leader. I was with Xerox Corporation for a long time, over 20 years. I moved to Anthem and IBM, and now I'm with the world's largest startup. It's called Kyndryl, and it's an infrastructure technology company. But where did I come from? You know, when you speak in New Orleans, I went to Xavier University in Louisiana, and it is the premier HBCU for getting African Americans into medical school, as well as top in pharmacy. But I went there for information technology, and not only learned about information technology, but learned about life and myself. So kind of that's where I'm at.
I love it. So how do you define success, and what are you doing now to prepare for success?
Success changes when you start to get the gray. So initially success meant, you know, 6-figure incomes and titles and people recognizing you for who you are. But as I've learned, success means for me more being in charge of my time and having the opportunity to dictate when and where I do things. Beyond that, success for me is having experiences. So not staying in the same lane and doing the same thing. One of my passions is golf. And, you know, who can say they get out and play golf a couple times a week at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? You know, if you put your life together in a certain way, it allows you to do certain things. Now, you may have to get up at 5 a.m. to do that, but hey, sacrifice. That's what the name of the game is.
Hey, I shared some things before we hit the record button, man. I'm gonna be rolling tight with you, man, because 3 o'clock is definitely that number. You feel me? So so I definitely I'll be hitting the links, and that's a good reminder because the school that I'm going to be doing some work at, they got a robust golf tournament coming up. So I'll be reaching out to you about that. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So let's talk a little bit about collaboration. Obviously, this is YB's Collaboration Corner. Gotta give this shameless plug coming out. My book, Collaboration Creates Currency, comes out right at the end of the summer. So I'm so excited about that. It's a collaborative book project, so be on the lookout for it. But what is your definition of collaboration, and how important is collaboration?
Collaboration is, to me, is understanding more of what you don't know, and you have your strengths, but also understanding the things that you need development in. And the things that you need development in, you offer the things that you're good in. And it's, as you said, a trading currency. So what I'm strong in, I help you in. What I am challenged in or have issues in, I get support. I think of, as you said in the intro, my wife, she's a social butterfly. Like, she is the one that talks, and she can have a vision and talk about it. I'll help her put it into action. And I'm a process person. So the whole collaboration that dictates currency, I believe, has pushed my life, my career personally and professionally forward a great deal. And I'll give you a quick story.
Yeah.
We mentioned golf. Moving from Western New York and Rochester was the result of a conversation on a golf course. I was with a mentor of mine, and I was talking about the research and development I was doing, and the fact that when I went into work, it was dark, and when I got home, it was dark. And I said, I didn't like that. He said, well, I have opportunities. You want to do something different? And that conversation folded into a sales and analyst role in Virginia. And so I moved from seeing the grayed out walls of a research and development lab to the windshield of my car. And I became a virtual employee, which changed and allowed me to dictate my own schedule, create my own appointments, and develop some skills that I didn't have prior.
I love that. You know, you talk about sales, and sales is such a, for some people, is a dirty word, but I love it. You know, my background is sales and marketing, obviously being president of sales for Sub Puppers in 30 Days, but it does require opportunities to collaborate. So let's talk a little bit about that. So you made that connection on the golf course. There was an opportunity that opened up. You took advantage of it. And what was the manifestation of that decision? Obviously, you got into a new role, but what was the manifestation of that? How would you describe what took place as a result of creating that connection and collaborating with that person to get into this new arena?
I kind of related to kind of like how a worm goes in a cocoon, has a development stage, and then, comes out as a butterfly. I think that's the biggest way I would say it, because in my previous role, is more analytical, and moving forward, it was more kind of positive intelligence, your ability to have conversations, your ability to interact and gauge people's interests. So I think it allowed me to grow to an extent in which, it may not have been comfortable initially for myself, but it was needed. And, as you move on in your career, whether personal or professional, if you staying still, you're getting left behind. If you're not moving forward, you're not gaining any ground. Yeah,
I love that. So that actually leads to just another avenue, right? So what are some of the mistakes that either you've made or that you've seen people make when it comes to collaboration? And where did that lead? Like, what are some of the mistakes that you've seen happen?
Well, just like any other industry, there's give and take, but a lot of times when people initially go in a phase or manner in which they just want to take from people, it's a negative experience, because if it's not reciprocal, then we both aren't growing. So I've seen people, brown nose or, try to crush a coworker. And in the end, that person looks, bad, it's not a person of high moral character. So in my mind, spirit de fraternité, it's not what the fraternity can do for you, but what you can do for the fraternity.
Yeah.
In that you'll have lasting bonds,
Yeah. Yeah, you preaching real good, man. You preaching real good, right? Man. I need to take a pause and say that this episode is brought to you by Zeta Delta Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity. I'll get my sponsorship a little later, but I definitely got to give them a shout out. We are the Henrico Alphas. Make sure you check us out on all social media platforms, Zeta Delta Lambda chapter. So as we begin to land the plane, Ron, who would you want to collaborate with as you continue to grow in your current endeavors? Like when you think about collaborations that you would want to have in the future currently, what would those collaborations be?
Yeah, I am interested now in the real estate game. So people in that vein, people who are into managing their own financial futures with regard to investment. I'm interested in understanding more about insurance and law. Like I have a specialty, right? I understand technology. I understand process. I understand program management, but that is one side of the brain. Right. So in order to be a holistic person, individual, brother, you have to be able to take in other things. And I always say, if I won the lottery today, I probably wouldn't quit my job, but I would go to get a doctorate.
Okay. What would you study?
Economics, history, art, sociology. I don't know if you are very familiar, but brother Booker T. W.E.B. Du Bois. I'm sorry. He spent some time in Europe, and his time in Europe created kind of the basis of how sociology is studied in university today.
Yeah, you're gonna make me go crack some history stuff open, man. You know what I'm saying? But we are forever learning, right? We're forever learning, forever growing. So that's a collaboration. I love what you brought up about the real estate piece. I gotta mention this brother's name. He's not giving me any publishing on this, but I gotta mention his name, Jamal King. Jamal King is known as the 9-to-5 millionaire. He is someone who worked a 9-to-5. He's tell people, don't quit your day job, stick with your 9-to-5. But he and his wife were able to build 4 multi-million-dollar businesses while he was a Chicago police officer. He was in that role for 20 years. And so he's still a multi-millionaire, but he did it while he worked his 9-to-5. And so, I think, that kind of mindset coupled with hard work and grit. The only messed up thing about Jamal is that he's a Q. No disrespect to the Qs, but there can only be one first to first, the engine, and that be the Alphas. So as we land the plane, Ron, last but not least, where can people find you, man? Like what, obviously you got some great things going on. You're leading up the charge for the fraternity. We got some great things lined up. But where can people find you if they want to connect? Maybe they want to have a conversation with you about real estate. Maybe they want to discuss Du Bois or Dubois and Booker T. Washington. You know what I'm saying? Like, where can people find you to connect?
My main connection point is LinkedIn. That is kind of my engine of choice. It filters out some of the things that are a distraction and keeps you focused on growth. So
yes,
on LinkedIn every day.
Absolutely. Got to throw in the plug for the LinkedIn Locksmith. I know the guy personally, so he'll enhance your visibility, credibility, profitability, and wealth. So make sure you check Ron Dews out on LinkedIn, and he'll get you connected to the LinkedIn locksmith. Now I got to throw a little curve in there because this is self-publishing 30 days, where our focus is on enhancing opportunities for aspiring authors. So say, for example, when the time comes, we're not going to say if, but when the time comes, because you got a lot of knowledge, when the time comes for you to write your next book. And you can go anywhere in the world to travel to write the book, and my team and I were covering it.
Mm.
Where would you go?
I would say
I think I got them
I'm
stumped.
gonna say some western portion of Africa.
Okay. Any particular country?
That's what I'm trying to think.
You got Ghana, we got Senegal.
I'll probably say Ghana. What is that?
Okay.
Aki. What's the capital?
Listen, don't give me the lion, man. Definitely, I won't be. That's
Okay.
the geography I need to work on. You ask me anything 50 states.
Yeah.
I gotta get better on that.
I would do that. But you mentioned books, and I believe in my heart that every person has 3 books in them.
Mm-hmm.
At least 3 books.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage my children to write children's books when they were children.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a co-author, at least of one.
Come on, man. Well, we got to get you and your kids on the author spotlight. We'd love to get them on there. So plug out to that. But hey, for those of you who enjoyed this podcast, make sure you connect with Ronald Dews Jr. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share. Promote this to people. We're looking to attract folks just like Ron, who's leaders. They're leaders. They are go-getters. They understand the importance and power of relationships and collaborating, and how important it is to use it to create currency. So if you want to get connected, make sure you continue to watch and subscribe to this podcast everywhere you see Self-Publishing 30 Days. I'm your host, Rob YB Youngblood, President of Sales for Self-Publishing 30 Days. It has been a pleasure interviewing my guy, my fraternity brother, Ronald Dews Jr. Ron, any last words that you want to share before we wrap up?
The blood supply all over America is very low. So if you have the opportunity, donate blood, because it supports people living with sickle cell anemia.
Love it. That's a great plug. Make sure you make sure you hit the donation up. And if you're dealing with high blood pressure like certain people, you got to make sure you get that control first before you can give any blood. So take care of that. But as we wrap up, be encouraged, be blessed, but most of all, be faithful over the gifts that you've been given, because your gift will make room for you. We'll see you on the next episode of YB's Collaboration Corner, Self-Publishing 30 Days podcast. Peace.